My wife asked why I'd been so cold. I told her I was practicing. The coffee mug shattered on the floor. She had no idea I'd spent 4 months building a case that would end her world. 87 nights of lies, one private investigator, and a file 3 inches thick. By the time she realized what was happening, I'd already won. This is how a quiet man dismantles a cheater's life, one document at a time. My name is Gordon Fletcher. I'm 42 years old, and I own 2 pet supply stores here in Richmond, Virginia. Started the first one 12 years ago with nothing but a small business loan and a dream of working with animals. Build it up from scratch, open a second location 5 years later. It's been good to me, good to my family. Or at least, I thought it was good to my family. That Tuesday morning started like dozens before it. I was in the kitchen at 6:30, packing lunch for my son Colin. 10 years old, 4th grade, obsessed with anything reptile-related. I just finished making his favorite sandwich, turkey and cheese with the crust cut off, when Sharon walked in. My wife, 40 years old, works in pharmaceutical sales. Or that's what she tells everyone. These days, I'm not so sure what she actually does during those late nights and weekend conferences that never seem to end. She poured herself coffee, moving through the kitchen like a ghost passing through walls. We hadn't really talked in weeks. Not real conversation anyway. Just logistics about Colin's schedule and who's picking up groceries. "Why are you so cold lately?" Sharon asked, her voice cutting through the silence. I looked up from Colin's lunchbox, met her eyes for the first time in days. They were the same green eyes I'd fallen for in college, but now they held something different. Guilt, maybe, or defiance. "Practicing for when you leave," I said. My voice was steady calm. I'd rehearsed that moment in my head 100 times. The coffee mug slipped from her hand. It shattered against the tile floor, ceramic fragments scattering everywhere, dark liquid spreading across the white grout. The sound brought Colin running from his room upstairs. "Dad? Mom? Everything okay?" My son called from the hallway. "Fine, buddy." I called back, never breaking eye contact with Sharon. "Just a little accident. Go brush your teeth." Sharon stood frozen, staring at the mess, then at me. Her mouth opened, closed, opened again. No words came out. I grabbed paper towels, knelt down, and started cleaning up the coffee. The ceramic pieces clinked as I collected them. Sharon hadn't moved. She just stood there, one hand gripping the counter edge, knuckles white. "I made Colin's lunch," I said, standing up and zipping his Spider-Man lunchbox. "Packed extra carrots like he asked." "Gordon, what did you mean by that?" Her voice shook slightly. I slid the lunchbox into Colin's backpack, grabbed my keys from the hook. "Check your email before you leave for work," I said. Then I walked toward the stairs. "Wait," Sharon said. "Gordon, please. We need to talk about this." I paused at the doorway, looked back at her. "There's nothing to talk about. Not anymore." I went upstairs, helped Colin gather his homework, and drove him to school. The whole time, my hands were steady on the wheel. My breathing was even, controlled. Because here's what Sharon didn't know. I hadn't been sitting around feeling sorry for myself these past 4 months. I'd been preparing, documenting, planning. My father taught me something during his 2 tours in Vietnam. The soldier who keeps his head while everyone else is losing theirs. That's the soldier who survives. After dropping Colin at school, I checked my phone. One text from Raymond Cole, my financial consultant. 3 words. "Everything is ready." The pet store opened at 9. By 8:45, I was sitting in my office going through inventory reports, but my mind wasn't on the numbers. I kept picturing Sharon's face when that mug hit the floor. The moment she realized I wasn't the same man she'd been walking all over. My phone buzzed. A text from my father. "Harold, coffee this afternoon? Got something for you." I texted back. 2 o'clock. My place. Harold Fletcher, 71 years old, Vietnam vet, tougher than boot leather. When I first told him what Sharon was doing, he didn't say much. Just nodded, took a long sip of his coffee, and said, "Document everything. Build your case like you're going to war. Because you are." That was 3 months ago. Since then, Dad's been my anchor. The voice in my head telling me to stay calm, stay focused, don't let emotion cloud judgment. My assistant manager, Tracy, knocked on the door. "Gordon, the delivery guy's here with the reptile food." "Thanks, I'll be right there," I said. I handled the delivery, chatted with a few customers about their bearded dragons and ball pythons, helped a kid pick out his first goldfish. Normal Tuesday morning stuff. But the whole time, I was thinking about Sharon sitting at home, staring at her laptop screen. Because what I'd sent her wasn't just documents. It was a roadmap of her own destruction. The folder contained 4 months of evidence. Dates, she claimed she was at conferences, but her car was parked at a downtown hotel. Receipts from restaurants she swore she'd never been to. Screenshots of text messages she thought she'd deleted. Credit card statements showing purchases I'd never seen. And most damaging, photos from the private investigator I'd hired 8 weeks ago. I didn't want to hire him. Felt like admitting defeat. But Raymond convinced me it was necessary. You need irrefutable proof, Raymond had said. Not just for court, but for yourself. So you never second-guess this decision. He was right. Those photos removed any doubt. Sharon with another man. His hand on her back. Her laughing, looking at him the way she used to look at me. Around 11, my phone rang. Sharon's name on the screen. I let it go to voicemail. She called again. Voicemail. Third time I answered. Gordon, please. We need to talk, Sharon said. Her voice was ragged, like she'd been crying. I'm at work, I said. Those documents, that's not. You don't understand. I understand perfectly, I interrupted. 4 months, Sharon. 87 nights where you came home after 11. That's what I understand. It's not what you think. Then explain the photos, I said. Explain the man with his arm around you at the Blue Ridge restaurant. That place you told me you'd never heard of. Silence on the other end. Long, heavy silence. That's what I thought, I said. I'll be home at 6. We can talk then. With Colin at your mother's house. My mother. Sharon's voice went up an octave. Yeah, Judith's picking him up from school today. I called her this morning. Told her we needed to have an adult conversation. You call my mother? Sharon sounded panicked now. See you at 6, I said, and ended the call. My hands were shaking slightly. I set the phone down, took a deep breath. This was just the beginning. At 2 o'clock, my father walked into the pet store. Harold Fletcher moved with purpose, even at 71. Straight back, steady gait. Vietnam hadn't broken him. Nothing had. Let's talk in your office, he said. We sat down, and he pulled a manila envelope from his jacket. Got the final report from the investigator yesterday. Thought you'd want to see it before tonight. I opened it. More photos. Sharon and the same man, different locations. Dates spanning back 6 months. Further than I'd even suspected. She's been playing you longer than you thought, my father said. It wasn't a question. Yeah, I said. Looks that way. You holding up? I looked at him. I'm angry. But I'm focused. Good, Harold said. Anger's fine as long as you control it. Don't let it control you. When I was in Da Nang, the guys who lost their cool were the ones who made mistakes. The ones who stayed sharp, they made it home. I remember, I said. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered. Mr. Fletcher? This is Susan Kellerman. I'm an attorney. Your wife contacted my office this morning seeking representation. Okay, I said, putting her on speaker so my father could hear. I'm calling as a courtesy to inform you that I've declined to take her case. After reviewing some preliminary information, I believe there's a significant conflict of interest. I exchanged a glance with my father. What kind of conflict? I can't discuss specifics, but I wanted you to know that Mrs. Fletcher called me quite upset. She mentioned something about locked accounts and restricted access to financial information. Is that accurate? Yes, ma'am. My financial consultant restructured our assets 2 months ago. Everything's legal. I see. Well, I'm not representing her, but I felt obligated to call. She seemed somewhat desperate. She also mentioned that your family attorney, Margaret Russo, refused to take her calls this morning. My father smiled slightly. Margaret Russo had been our lawyer for 8 years. She'd helped me set up the business, handled the expansion. 2 weeks ago, I'd retained her for the separation. Thank you for the call, I said. Good luck, Mr. Fletcher, Susan said, and hung up. My father leaned back in his chair. She's running out of options fast. That's the plan, I said. What time's Colin getting picked up? Judith's getting him at 3:30. Taking him for dinner and a movie. Harold raised an eyebrow. You told Judith? No details. Just said Sharon, and I needed to talk privately. Judith thinks it's about marriage counseling. And tonight, Sharon and I have a conversation. I tell her exactly how this is going to go. She can accept it, or we go to court. Either way, I'm done. My father stood up, put a hand on my shoulder. You're doing the right thing. Colin needs a stable home, and you're giving him that. After he left, I sat in my office and thought about tonight. About facing Sharon. About saying out loud all the things I kept buried for months. My phone buzzed. Text from Sharon. Please don't do this. We can fix this. I love you. I stared at the message for a long moment. Then I deleted it without responding. 6 o'clock came faster than I expected. I pulled into the driveway and saw Sharon's car already there. Lights on in the kitchen. She was waiting. I walked in through the garage, set my keys on the counter. Sharon was sitting at the kitchen table, hands wrapped around a cup of tea. Her eyes were red, mascara smudged. She'd been crying. Where's Colin? She asked. With your mother. Movie and dinner. He'll be back around 9. Sharon nodded, looked down at her tea. Gordon, I don't know where to start. Start with the truth, I said. I stayed standing, leaned against the counter. Distance felt important. It's not what you think. Derek and I, we're just friends. The photos, they're out of context. Stop, I said. The word came out harder than I intended. Don't insult me by lying right now. I have 4 months of evidence. Photos, receipts, GPS data, text messages. I know about the hotel rooms. I know about the dinners. I know everything. Her face collapsed. It was a mistake. A stupid, terrible mistake. 87 nights, Sharon. That's not a mistake. That's a choice. You chose him over us. Over Colin. Over everything we built. No, I chose myself, she said, and there was an edge to her voice now. You want to know the truth? I felt invisible. You're always at the store, always focused on the business. When's the last time we went out? When's the last time you looked at me the way you used to? I felt anger rising, but pushed it down. Stay calm. Stay focused. So you had an affair, I said. Instead of talking to me, instead of trying to fix things, you decided to betray our marriage. I was lonely, and I was working to provide for this family. For you. For Colin. Building something that would give us security. Sharon stood up, her voice rising. I needed more than security, Gordon. I needed a husband who was present, and I needed a wife who was faithful, I said. But here we are. The kitchen went silent, except for the hum of the refrigerator. What happens now? Sharon asked quietly. I pulled a folder from my bag, set it on the table. You have 2 options. Option 1. We mediate this quietly. I get primary custody of Colin. You get visitation every other weekend. We split the house proceeds 50-50, but my business stays mine. You walk away clean. And option 2. We go to court. I present all of this evidence. Every photo, every receipt, every text message. The judge sees what kind of mother abandons her 10-year-old son 87 nights in 4 months. You lose custody entirely, maybe get supervised visitation, and you get nothing financially because you'll spend it all on lawyers trying to fight me. Sharon's hand shook. You can't do this. I already have, I said. The papers are ready. Raymond restructured everything legally. Margaret's representing me. You have until Friday to decide. I walked to the door, then turned back. I loved you, Sharon. I would have done anything for you. But you threw it away. Now you deal with the consequences. I left her sitting there and went to pick up Colin. My hands were steady on the wheel. 3 days after the confrontation, I was restocking aquarium supplies when my phone rang. Richmond General Hospital. My stomach dropped. Mr. Fletcher? This is Nurse Patterson from the emergency room. Your son Colin was brought in about 20 minutes ago. He fell during gym class. Possible concussion. I'm on my way, I said, already grabbing my keys. Is he okay? He's stable. Asking for you. We tried calling your wife first since she's listed as primary contact, but couldn't reach her. I'll be there in 10 minutes, I said. I called Sharon while driving. Straight to voicemail. Called again. Nothing. Texted. Colin's in the ER. Where are you? Tracy agreed to close the store. I made it to the hospital in 8 minutes. Found Colin in a bed with an ice pack on his head. His eyes lit up when he saw me. Dad, he said. His voice was small, scared. Hey, buddy. I'm here. I sat next to him, took his hand. What happened? We were playing dodgeball. I tripped and hit my head on the gym floor. It really hurt. The doctor came in, a woman in her 40s with kind eyes. Mr. Fletcher? I'm Dr. Adams. Colin's going to be fine. Minor concussion. No fracture. We'll keep him for observation for a few hours. Then he can go home. Thank you, I said. Where's Mom? Colin asked. She's at work, buddy. But I'm here. Dr. Adams made notes on her tablet. For our records, who should we list as primary emergency contact? Me, I said. Gordon Fletcher. I'd like that updated immediately. She nodded. I'll have administration handle it. An hour passed. Then 2. I sat with Colin. We watched cartoons on the TV. I got him juice from the vending machine. He fell asleep around 4 o'clock, head on my shoulder. My phone finally buzzed. Sharon, just saw your text. Is he okay? I was in a meeting. I looked at the timestamp. She'd sent it 3 hours after my first message. I called her. She answered immediately. Gordon, is Colin. He's fine, I said, keeping my voice low. Minor concussion. They're releasing him in an hour. Oh, thank God. I'm so sorry. My phone was on silent during the presentation. Sharon, stop, I said. I called you 6 times. Texted 4 times. Colin was in the hospital for 3 hours, asking for his mother. And you were unreachable. Silence. Where were you really? I asked. I told you I had a presentation. Right. At 3 in the afternoon on a Thursday. I paused. I'm documenting this, Sharon. The hospital tried to reach you first. You didn't answer. I was here within 10 minutes. That's going in the custody file. You can't use our son's accident against me. I'm not using it against you. I'm documenting reality. You weren't there when he needed you. I was. Just like always. I hung up before she could respond. Colin stirred, opened his eyes. Is Mom coming? Maybe later, buddy. But I'm taking you home. We'll get ice cream on the way. He smiled. The good kind? With the chocolate chunks. The best kind, I said. Dr. Adams returned with discharge papers. As she handed them to me, she said quietly, the emergency contact has been updated. You're listed as primary now. Thank you, I said. Walking out of that hospital with Colin's hand in mine, I felt something shift. This wasn't just about Sharon's betrayal anymore. This was about being the parent Colin deserved. The one who showed up. Friday evening, someone knocked on my door. Hard, aggressive knocking. I looked through the peephole and saw Judith, Sharon's mother. I opened the door. Judith. We need to talk, she said, pushing past me into the living room. 67 years old, dressed like she was heading to a country club. Pearls, designer handbag. That look of permanent disapproval she perfected over the years. Colin's upstairs doing homework, I said. Good. Then we can speak freely. Judith turned on me, eyes blazing. What exactly do you think you're doing to my daughter? I'm not doing anything to her. She did this to herself. Oh, please. Sharon made a mistake. One mistake. And you're trying to destroy her entire life over it. One mistake. I kept my voice level. Judith. She had an affair for 6 months. She abandoned our son repeatedly. That's not a mistake. That's a pattern. You're exaggerating. Sharon works hard. She has a demanding career. She was at a hotel with another man while Colin was in the hospital, I said. I called her 6 times. She didn't answer once. Judith's expression faltered slightly, but she recovered quickly. She was in a meeting. No, she wasn't. And, she wasn't. I crossed my arms. Why are you really here, Judith? I'm here because you're being cruel. Sharon is falling apart. She's my daughter, and I won't stand by while you humiliate her. I'm not humiliating her. I'm protecting my son. By taking him away from his mother. Judith's voice rose. You're being vindictive. You're punishing her because your ego is bruised. My ego. I felt anger rising but controlled it. This isn't about my ego. This is about Colin needing a stable home with a parent who actually shows up for him. Sharon loves that boy. Then where was she Tuesday when he fell? Where was she last month during a school play? Where was she for the past 87 nights when she came home after midnight? Judith opened her mouth, closed it. She had no answer. I have documentation, Judith. Photos, dates, times, GPS records. Your daughter made choices, and now she's dealing with the consequences. You're a cold man, Gordon Fletcher, Judith said. I always knew Sharon deserved better than someone who spends his days selling dog food. There it was. The contempt she'd always had for me, barely concealed behind polite smiles at family dinners. Better than a faithful husband who provides for his family. I said, better than a father who's actually present? Yeah, she really traded up with a married guy from her office. Judith's face went red. How dare you? I think you should leave now, I said, walking to the door and opening it. This isn't over, Judith said, grabbing her purse. Sharon has rights. She's going to fight you. Let her fight, I said. I have truth on my side. What does she have? Judith left without another word. I closed the door and leaned against it, taking a deep breath. Colin appeared at the top of the stairs. Was that Grandma? Yeah, buddy. Why was she yelling? Adult stuff. Nothing for you to worry about. I climbed the stairs, ruffled his hair. How's that math homework coming? Almost done. Dad, are you and Mom getting divorced? The question hit me like a punch. I've been dreading this moment. I sat down on the step next to him. Yeah, buddy. We are. But that doesn't change anything about how much we both love you. Colin nodded slowly. Is it because Mom's always gone? Kids see more than we think. It's complicated. But you and me, we're solid. Nothing changes that. He hugged me. Okay, Dad. Later that night, I made a note in my journal. Judith's visit, her threats, her defense of Sharon despite the evidence. Everything documented. Everything recorded. My phone buzzed. Raymond, Sharon's attorney filed a motion for temporary custody. Hearing scheduled for next Thursday. I texted back. Let them come. We're ready. Tuesday morning, I met Raymond Cole at his office downtown. 50 years old, sharp as they come, been handling my finances since I opened the second store. The man who'd helped me build an impenetrable fortress around everything I'd worked for. Sharon tried to access the business accounts yesterday, Raymond said, sliding a printout across his desk. 3 separate attempts. All denied. I studied the paper. She tried the main operating account, the payroll account, even the equipment fund. What did the bank tell her? That those accounts are held in a business trust with you as sole trustee. She has no access, no claim, no authority. Raymond leaned back in his chair. She called me directly after that. Asked me to explain why she couldn't access her money. What did you say? I explained very politely that the business assets were restructured 8 weeks ago in accordance with Virginia law. Everything's legitimate. Everything's documented. She didn't take it well. I bet she didn't. Raymond pulled out another folder. Here's where it gets interesting. Sharon's attorney, that guy she finally found, sent me a formal request yesterday. Wants complete financial disclosure within 48 hours. Give it to him, I said. Every document, every statement, every receipt. Show them exactly how protected everything is. You sure? Sometimes it's better to make them work for information. I shook my head. No games. I want them to see the wall they're up against. Let them understand there's no crack in this foundation. Raymond smiled. I like it. Overwhelming force. Your father teach you that? Yeah. He said if you're going to fight, make sure the enemy knows they've already lost before the first shot's fired. Smart man. Raymond organized the papers. One more thing. The house. It's still jointly owned, but I've prepared documents to force a sale. Market value is around $400,000. After the mortgage, you're looking at about $220 in equity. Split 50-50, she walks with $110. That's more than fair. It is. But she's not going to see it that way. She's going to see it as losing. That's a problem, I said. I'm done being generous to someone who threw away 15 years. Back at the store, I found a letter taped to the front door. Handwritten, Sharon's writing. I opened it standing right there on the sidewalk. Gordon, please stop this. We can work through this together. I made mistakes, but you're making bigger ones. Colin needs both his parents. Don't let your anger destroy our family. I love you. I've always loved you. Sharon. I read it twice, then folded it carefully and put it in my pocket. Evidence. Documentation. Another piece of the puzzle showing her desperation. Inside, Tracy was helping a customer with a new puppy. I went to my office and made a copy of the letter, then filed it with everything else. The stack had grown thick over the past months. Photos, receipts, bank statements, text messages, hotel records, GPS data, now letters. My father always said preparation wins wars. He was right. That afternoon, Colin came home from school quiet. I made him a snack, sat down with him at the kitchen table. Everything okay, buddy? I asked. Mom called me today. During lunch. My jaw tightened. What did she say? She asked if I was mad at her. She said you're trying to keep her away from me. Colin looked up at me. Are you? No, I said firmly. Your mom made some choices that hurt our family. I'm making sure you're taken care of. That's different. She was crying. Colin said softly. She said she misses me. I know this is hard, and I'm sorry you're caught in the middle. But Colin, I need you to understand something. Your mom loves you. I don't doubt that. But love means showing up. Being there. Not just saying the words. Colin nodded slowly. Like you do. Like I try to do, I said. Every single day. That night, I recorded the conversation in my journal. Sharon contacting Colin directly, trying to manipulate him emotionally. Another line crossed. Another piece of evidence. My phone buzzed. Margaret Russo, my attorney. Hearing is Thursday at 10. Be prepared for Sharon to paint herself as the victim. Stay calm. Let the evidence speak. I texted back. I'll be ready. Wednesday evening. Sharon showed up unannounced. I heard her car in the driveway. Watched through the window as she sat there for a full minute before getting out. She looked exhausted. Good. Colin was at a friend's house. I planned it that way. Knew she'd eventually come. I opened the door before she could knock. Sharon, can I come in? Her voice was small, defeated. 5 minutes, I said, stepping aside. We stood in the living room. I didn't offer her a seat. Didn't offer anything. My phone was in my pocket, recording. Virginia's a one-party consent state. Everything legal. Gordon, please. This has gone too far. Sharon's eyes were red. I know I messed up. I know I hurt you. But we can fix this. No, we can't. Yes, we can. Couples therapy, marriage counseling, whatever you want. I'll do anything. You had months to do something. You chose Derek instead. She flinched at his name. That's over. I ended it. I told him I'm working on my marriage. You don't have a marriage to work on. You destroyed it. Don't say that. Her voice rose. 15 years, Gordon. 15 years together. That has to mean something. It meant everything, I said. Until you made it mean nothing. Sharon moved closer. What about Colin? What about our son? You're going to tear him apart because you're too proud to forgive me. I'm protecting him from a mother who abandons him, I said. Who wasn't there when he was in the hospital? Who missed his school events? Who chose a stranger over her own family? I made mistakes. You made choices, Sharon. Every single time you drove to that hotel, that was a choice. Every time you lied to me, that was a choice. Every time you ignored Colin's calls because you were with Derek, that was a choice. She was crying now, but I felt nothing. No sympathy, no guilt. Just cold resolve. I'm begging you, she said. Don't take my son from me. I'm not taking him. You gave him up when you decided your affair was more important than being his mother. That's not fair. Life isn't fair, I said. But consequences are real. You're learning that now. Sharon wiped her eyes. My lawyer says we can win in court. That judges favor mothers. Your lawyer's wrong. Judges favor the parent who's actually present. The one with documentation. The one who shows up. I pulled out my phone, stopped the recording. Like I'm doing right now. Documenting everything. Her face went white. You recorded this. Every word. Legal in Virginia. Just like I've recorded everything else. You're insane. I'm prepared, I said. There's a difference. Now your 5 minutes are up. Leave. She stared at me like she was seeing a stranger. Maybe she was. The man she'd married wouldn't have done this. But that man died the night I found out about Derek. I'll see you in court, Sharon said. Looking forward to it, I replied. After she left, I sent the recording to Margaret with a timestamp and notes. Sharon's admission that the affair happened, her attempt to manipulate me with Colin, her lawyer's overconfidence. My father called 10 minutes later. How you holding up? Solid. Sharon just left. I recorded everything. She make any threats? Said her lawyer thinks they can win. That judges favor mothers. Harold laughed. Her lawyer's an idiot. You got a file 3 inches thick. What does she have? Excuses and tears. That's what I told her. Good. Stay strong. Tomorrow's the hearing. Wear your best suit. Keep your answers short. Let Margaret do the talking. The judge will see through Sharon's act. Thanks, Dad. That's what I'm here for, son. You're doing the right thing. Thursday morning, 10 o'clock. Richmond Circuit Court, Family Division. I walked in wearing my best suit. Margaret Russo beside me carrying 2 thick folders. My father sat in the gallery, straight-backed, silent support. Sharon arrived 5 minutes later with her attorney, a young guy who looked nervous. She dressed conservatively, minimal makeup, trying to look like the wounded wife. I knew better. Judge Patricia Hendricks entered. 60 years old, reputation for no-nonsense rulings. She'd seen every trick in the book. Let's begin, Judge Hendricks said. This is a hearing for temporary custody of the minor child, Colin Fletcher, age 10. Mr. Fletcher, your attorney may present. Margaret stood. Your Honor, we're requesting primary custody for Mr. Fletcher based on substantial evidence of abandonment by Mrs. Fletcher. She laid out everything. The 87 nights Sharon came home late. The hospital incident where she didn't answer 6 calls. Colin's school records showing I attended every event while Sharon attended none. The financial records showing hotel charges and suspicious spending. Sharon's attorney objected weakly. Your Honor, Mrs. Fletcher is a working mother. Her career demands don't constitute abandonment. Then explain the hospital incident. Judge Hendrick said, looking at Sharon. Your son was in the emergency room. You didn't answer your phone for 3 hours. Where were you? Sharon's voice shook. I was in a meeting. My phone was on silent. At 3 in the afternoon on a Thursday. The judge's tone was skeptical. Yes, Your Honor. Margaret introduced the photos. Sharon with Derek Patterson. Timestamps, locations, dates she claimed to be working. Your Honor, Sharon's attorney said desperately. My client made mistakes in her marriage, but that doesn't make her an unfit mother. It makes her an absent one, Judge Hendrick said. She reviewed the documents for what felt like an eternity. Finally, she looked up. I'm granting temporary primary custody to Mr. Fletcher. Mrs. Fletcher will have supervised visitation every other weekend, pending full custody hearing in 3 months. Mr. Fletcher will remain in the family home. The house will be sold, proceeds split equally. Mrs. Fletcher has 30 days to secure alternative housing. Sharon collapsed in her chair, sobbing. I felt nothing, just relief. Outside the courthouse, my father hugged me. You did it, son. We did it, I said. Couldn't have done this without you. That evening, I told Colin. He took it quietly, nodded. So I stay with you. Yeah, buddy. You stay with me. Okay, he said. Then, softer. That's good. 9 months after that courtroom, life had settled into a new rhythm. The pet stores were thriving. I'd hired 2 new managers, giving me more time with Colin. Time I should have always had. Colin and I stood outside the new house. Smaller than the old one, but it was ours. 3 bedrooms, a yard where we'd built a treehouse together last month. Fresh start. Dad, can I paint my room blue? Colin asked. Any color you want, buddy, I said. Sharon had visitation every other weekend, supervised for the first 4 months, then unsupervised after she completed parenting classes. She'd moved to an apartment across town, started therapy. Some weekends Colin came back saying it was okay. Others, he was quiet. I never pushed. The divorce was finalized last month. Clean split, just like I planned. Sharon got her half of the house proceeds. Nothing more. The businesses stayed mine. Derek Patterson transferred to another state. His wife divorced him. Karma works. My father came over every Sunday for dinner. Him, me, and Colin. 3 generations of Fletcher men. Harold taught Colin to fish, taught him the same lessons he taught me. Patience, preparation, strength. You think Mom's happy? Colin asked one night before bed. I hope so. I said honestly. She's trying. That's what matters. Are you happy, Dad? I thought about it. Yeah, buddy. I am. We're building something good here. Just you and me. He hugged me tight. I love you, Dad. Love you too, Colin. Later, sitting on the porch, I thought about that morning Sharon dropped the coffee cup. The moment everything changed. I didn't regret it. Not 1 second. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is walk away from what's broken and build something new. My phone buzzed. Text from Raymond. Store 2 hit record sales this month. You're doing great. I smiled. Yeah, we were doing great. Colin called from inside. Dad, can we watch a movie? Be right there. I called back. I walked inside, closed the door on the past, and focused on what mattered. The future. My son. Our life. We were going to be just fine.